filings give a look into former Mayor Cantrell and Jeffrey Vappy's possible defense at trial this October.
Gabby Killett reports Cantrell's attorney says that the evidence federal prosecutors want to include is unfair.
Former Mayor LaToya Cantrell's attorney says evidence the government has said it wants to show a federal jury is irrelevant. Eddie Castang wrote in a court filing Friday, the purpose is to inflame and excite the jury and unfairly prejudice it. The record and a separate filing by Jeffrey Vappy's attorneys give initial looks into their defense. An 18-count indictment filed last August accuses them of using city funds to further a romantic relationship.
The government is saying this is probative information. The defense is saying, no, it is very prejudicial to us, and Judge, you need to keep that out of the trial.
One piece of evidence Castang questions is a gold ring, which prosecutors argue Vappy gave Cantrell. Prosecutors said Cantrell did not hand it over despite a grand jury subpoena requiring Cantrell and Vappy to give up any gifts they had given each other. Castang argues the ring was borrowed and therefore not a gift. He wrote, quote, "It was always with the condition that the ring was not a permanent transfer." The feds also pointed to alleged misuse of nearly $300,000 of Cantrell's campaign funds on champagne and clothing as evidence against her. Castang wrote Friday the campaign manager had control over such payments, not Cantrell.
Separate and apart from these legal issues under this rule of evidence, the defense always wants to keep out things that just show their client in a bad light. Although it may not implicate them directly into this crime, it just smears them.
In Vappy's response to the feds, his attorneys argued, quote, virtually none of this evidence has anything to do with Jeff Vappy. They said their client submitted nearly 1,000 pages to comply with the grand jury subpoena.
Now, Castang didn't respond to a phone call requesting comment. Sean Clark, who represents Vappy, pointed to his filing, saying that it lays out Vappy's position bluntly. Their trial is set for October.